Yes.
Fantastic. My name is Rachel Turkis, and I am the Director of Marketing for Packet Fusion. Welcome to our webinar, Life After Prem. We're going to go through a quick conversation today and Matt and Kevin will introduce themselves. We're going to go into why My Voice Connect is ending, migration strategies, and why cloud, real-world case studies that we have participated in and installed, common challenges for UCaaS and installation to avoid, our cloud care package, and what the TCO and ROI of moving to the cloud is, and we'll move into a live Q&A. I will be in the background during this conversation. I will interrupt Matt and Kevin. Interrupting Matt is one of my favorite things to do. So it is true, during the conversation with any questions you may have. In addition, I will be launching polls while Matt is talking. So please go ahead and make sure that you see those. What we'd like to do right now is launch our first poll, which is what's your biggest concern while moving to the cloud as an organization? So we'll go ahead and put that up and have Matt and Kevin introduce themselves.
Yeah, before I introduce myself a little bit more on Rachel, Rachel worked with us about 10 years ago. And she jumped into a new field of technology with us and had some amazing ideas. And she was probably too far for us where we wanted to go. She left, went, did some other things, a year and a half with us. 8 years later, here she is back with us. Couldn't be more excited, doing some really cool stuff on our marketing side. So thank you for everything you're doing, Rachel. I'm Matt Pingatore, CEO and owner of Packet Fusion. I look at the names of everybody on this list who's here, and I know at least 80% of you on a first name basis. So we appreciate everything that you guys do and the faith that you've given in us. Again, 23 years at Packet Fusion, have some Nortel experience. We started Packet Fusion doing Nortel, jumped into ShoreTel, became Mitel, kind of demise of Mitel on our product side. We shifted to cloud. We're knee deep into the Zoom, the Teams, the Ring Central, the 8x8 world, doing some really good cloud migrations along with other products as well, which we'll get into. I'll toss it over to Kevin.
Kevin Sabonis, and Vice President of Client Success and Support. So again, appreciate the time to go over what we're about to present today. As Matt and I were just talking about, or what we're spending time on, and been in the industry 29 years, almost 30 years. All of it in the telco or telecom space, primarily focused on voice over IP and UCaaS solutions. Kind of started my career, maybe a name that many of you might recall. I started at Pacific Bell, and specifically an organization called Pacific Bell Network Integration as a programmer and project manager for traditional PBXs, so Lucent, Nortel, Avaya solutions back then. Late 90s, we merged and became SBC. And at that opportunity, I was moved into a leadership position and was chartered with starting what was considered SBC Datacom's first voice professional services organization. So spent pretty much most of my career there, about 17, 18 years. Then ended my career at AT&T Network Operations, where I was launching and overseeing what was called most of world IP Flex. So many of you might know AT&T's flagship IP Flex SIP product, but we launched it into a most of world international perspective, and I was over that charter and launch and had number portability, so international porting at that time too, which was very exciting. Joined Packet Fusion in 2015. My charter was developing, really scaling our support and implementation organization, doing a great job at the time. Very successful, but being able to help the team grow and scale as Packet Fusion grew their footprint, our footprint.
Love it.
Most recently, so with the transition and migration of our client base to some type of cloud solution, we launched our client success team, which we're really proud of. Their focus is really supporting our customers as they migrate through their cloud journey and helping them from pre through post sales and optimization down the road.
Love it. And in the interview, what did I say, Kevin?
I don't know. You said a lot of different things.
Oh, we'll get to it another time. Next webinar. That's the teaser for you guys to come to our next webinar. I'll tell you the the little fun banter we had in his interview.
So before you move on, just so you know, over 50% of the people said the most biggest concern about moving to cloud is the cost and the ROI. The second is downtime during transition. So we want to make sure that we talk
Yeah.
about both of those things.
Yeah, that's really cool. I knew cost and ROI would do number one, data security and compliance at 19%, internal user adoption at 29%, integration with existing systems at 30%. That's awesome. That's really interesting results. So thank you guys all for sharing that. So you want to kill that poll, Rachel? Thank you. So we'll talk about end of life. There's still about 25 of you, 20 of you guys on this that don't have Connect. Somehow you found us, so we appreciate you guys. If you have Avaya, you have NEC, you all dealing. NEC is dealing with the same thing, end of life. Avaya is dealing with the same thing, end of life. So this can be commingled whether you have Mitel, ShoreTel, Avaya, or NEC. So a little bit of a little bit of a history of Mitel and ShoreTel, right? It was founded, they went public. Mitel sued ShoreTel 3 different times for infringement of stuff when they went public. So we fought each other. ShoreTel buys a cloud-based system called M5. Mitel didn't have a cloud platform or direction. They bought ShoreTel with the premise that this cloud M5, rebranded as ShoreTel Sky, was going to be this flagship product. They put a ton of money and effort into it. We had got up to a couple hundred customers on it. We were doing well with it. Searchlight, private equity, buys Mitel with the understanding that they wanted to be the first or second player in the cloud space with the M5 product as their flagship product. Well, guess what happened? COVID hit. Zoom and Teams took off. So did 8x8. So did others, GoTo, Dialpad, and Mitel went to a distant 5th, 6th, or 7th. So basically, Searchlight says, what do we do? Retrench. They kill the Mitel My Voice Connect, which is most people's product on here on the prem. And they also killed the cloud product. And when they did that, they formed a partnership with Ring. We started migrating our customers to Ring because the phones moved forward, the database moved forward, and there were these really nice marketing programs that moved forward. So there's a lot of momentum there. That relationship soured. Mitel announces the end of life of all these products. Mitel then says, well, we got to have some kind of a cloud direction. So they formed a relationship with Zoom, which unfortunately was for the My Voice business, the blue product, not the orange My Voice Connect ShoreTel product that everybody on this call has. So there really isn't something there for you with the Zoom integration, other than the 6900 series phones move forward pretty cool. And then unfortunately, Mitel declares bankruptcy for Chapter 11. They have made announcements that they've reached agreements with all of their creditors, reduced some debt. So in the next 30 to 60 days, they expect to resurface out of bankruptcy, which is great news for everybody. But it's always a weird thing once you've been in BK. So Kev, you want to take this one a little bit?
Yeah, real quick, Rachel, I want to call out. There is a question. We're going to answer it, I think, a little bit later on in a couple of slides. Someone posed a question around UCaaS integration with a PA system.
Yes, I saw that tonight. Since I knew we were going to get there, I actually answered them and let them know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Sure. So Mitel launched, this might be a repeat for many of you. We've been promoting the end-of-life roadmap that Mitel's produced for quite some time. So there's some items of note. We already went past the end of new system sales. That was roughly, I don't know, about a year ago now. And then add-on sales hit at the end of 2024. 2 things that Mitel's updated with the new launch, or with the, I guess, the launch of their end-of-life milestone. End-of-life extended license sales. So what they've done through 2025 is they are still allowing user licenses or bundles, right? So you can add new users to your platform, and those user license bundles will be available through this year to the end of 2025. More importantly, one of the things they adjusted, and I think they heard from the partner community sharing a lot of the concerns from customers, was really addressing critical fixes or security updates through the life of the product. They originally had stated that they were not planning on doing any code fixes or security patches past 2025. And that's the new change you'll see highlighted in yellow there. So they have a process now that if something is critical from a security patching perspective and or a critical fix from a bug perspective is identified, I think they have an internal discussion with regards to the impact across the platform, and then they will have an opportunity to deploy a fix for that. So that'll carry us through the end of 2029.
Yeah, and I think there's one more release coming out this year, which is their final release. And the big thing there is going to be server 2022 compliant,
Yeah,
which if you're going to hold this thing till 2029, which we're okay with, you want to get there.
yeah.
Cool. So continuing on. So what have you experienced with Mitel on your phone system, right? Unfortunately, it's kind of like these tariffs. Am I supposed to pass 100% of these tariffs on to you, or am I supposed to eat them? Well, same thing happened to us on Mitel. Mitel's raised the price on the ShoreTel on the Mitel My Voice Connect support pricing. They did a 5%, a 10%, a 10%, and a 15% over the last 3 years. So our cost has gone up tremendously. We've tried to maintain some kind of pricing parity with everybody, but it got to a point where we couldn't. So everybody's prices has gone up, and I would say either you lock in. If you are going to keep this thing for till 2029, you probably want to lock in, because I would imagine it's going to keep going up. Some of their products have been EOL. This is big for us. We had like 15 or 20 of these. They're voice recording. We had to either get people to the cloud or upgrade to a different product. They've got about 30 advanced applications. Half of them are just gonzo, not even supported. The other half will be supported for a while, but you can't buy any of these. This is a big one, right? This lack of development when security issues arise. Now I don't know if it's lack. I think it's the timeliness of these. They just take forever, and there's a lot of security compromises that you're having to deal with because of the end of life of the product.
Yeah, I think maybe the more appropriate, based on the previous slide where we talked about that they would consider maybe a security fix if it was that significant. Really, the thing I would keep in mind here is as you're doing Windows updates to your servers, there's not QA occurring or quality control occurring on those builds against what the Mitel build is anymore, right? So that would be one of the things that I would be concerned about if you're pushing things out to your environment.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. I mean, I think the forward-looking things that they did for a while are going to be gone. The most recent one is this Microsoft update that happened that just caught them because they weren't paying attention, and it's still not fixed, that you have to do a workaround, and that's going to be fixed also in this next release. So some craziness is happening, right? No digital transformation. You are status quo with dial tone, with a very working desktop client, but it's 7 years old and hasn't had a new refresh since then. Zoom, Ring, all these new players, teams have gone so far ahead of it. You don't have the new digital tools. Your employee satisfaction goes down. Your recruitment, the number one recruitment tool for people is having technology that your new employees get to use. And your competitors are now having better tools. Very hard to work at home. COVID happened. 30-40% of our base, we had to quickly put in these systems so people could work from home. We moved a lot of them to the cloud because of this work from home. Everybody's coming back, but it's now kind of a hybrid thing. Much easier in the cloud, and we'll get to that in a sec. So it's ending. Now what? You have 3 options. Stay on My Voice Connect. Is it really an option after 2029? Yes and no. We're going to still keep it alive, as we will have warranty support. We have tons of this stuff in our warehouse. We have all the old code. We can get it back to a known working state after 2029 with some caveats, but we'd love to get everybody off by 2029. Mitel's business is still alive, still viable, and they have something called Mitel My Voice Business. It's the 40-year-old product that I competed against when I sold ShoreTel Prem, the one that you guys had. We competed against the Mitel Blue. Mitel buys ShoreTel, the blue product wins out. The blue product is still here today with just a new front end, and they've basically crunched all the old code together, put an abstract layer with this new front end. But make no mistake, that product, while it could work, is the 40-year-old product that's been out there forever. That's their strategy going forward. This is their hybrid cloud solution. And hybrid cloud to them means you put something in a colo and you manage it. It is a solution. We haven't sold one. Our customers aren't asking for it. I have to, by rule of law, with my commitment with Mitel, talk to you about it, present it to you, cost it out for you, demo it. If you're interested in it, we can help you get that. There are people doing it. This is where we see 95% of 90% of our customers. The other 10% are staying on My Voice Connect. Everybody else is evaluating new cloud phone systems. Some basics, and it's embarrassing that I have to do this. Why cloud, right? Everybody knows this is all review, right? These things are now going to an OpEx model. It's more predictable. It's better for the provider. They have more reliable income streams. They have more reliable ability to pay and do their R&D. It's better for you because it's more predictable as opposed to these big hits. When you add that one person, you got to add the shelf and the card and the licenses and blah, blah, blah. That one user cost you 10 grand because you weren't lined up. OpEx, $12 a month. Accessibility, you can get to this thing anywhere on the planet. COVID was a big part of that, showing how unaccessible the Mitel product is. Without a lot of nuances, VPN appliances, et cetera, et cetera. Elasticity, up, down, grow, small, get bigger, get smaller on an on-demand basis. Security, it's all in the cloud. Let them deal with the security. You don't have to deal with all the security within your organization. There is still some to deal with, don't get me wrong, but 90% of your overhead is now done by the provider. Disaster recovery, business continuity, I don't think I need to talk much about that. Either you're doing it yourself with servers and VMware and failover and all those kind of things, or you let the provider do it. ROI, TCO, generally, unless you've got some campus-wide things, the ROI and TCO is generally there for a cloud-based product. And even if it's not, and we can put some soft costs in there with people and efficiencies and those kind of things, the ROI TCI is always there. Agility for your ability to add stuff, your ability to add new features, new programs, new spots, new locations in a minute, so much better. Innovation. If you don't have to upgrade 10,000 people's systems to get to current, they upgrade their core and everybody's current. Everybody's much better off, and their innovation just continues on and on. And now you get to focus on your core focus instead of keeping blinky lights up and going. You repurpose those people to work on business processes and keep your core focus on your business rather than keeping blinky lights and servers going. And now I'm embarrassed that I have to say this one. I had a customer not know some basics about UCAD. So basically, fundamentally, we're putting your phone system in the cloud. And that cloud is a shared resource that 10,000 people use, whether it be Zoom, Ring, Teams, 8x8, Dialpad, whomever it is. They've got a big server infrastructure and software in the cloud that you are all now sharing, and you're paying per unit pricing or per user for the ability to use all that stuff. So your phone, collaboration, video, SMS, chat, call center, there's nothing on site for that. It's all on the cloud. And you have to connect to the cloud with some kind of an internet connection. All phone numbers are ported to the provider. Traditional type of your PRIs, your SIP trunks, they can still stay if you want to do some bring your own carrier stuff. We do have some of our larger clients doing that, but 99% of our customers are taking your numbers off the old traditional circuits and porting them to the carriers, and they're dealing with all the noise. This is worldwide. So the telco noise that you had to deal with for so long is gone. You just have to get the numbers. That's where we help. get the numbers from these old circuits to the provider. You can still have an IP phone. You can still have your ShoreTel 400 series phone working with Ring. You can have your 6900 series phone working with Zoom. So we can, or you can buy a new phone, a new IP phone, and have it still working. Still have a, or you have a client, which is like the Zoom client or the Teams client or the Ring client that has a soft phone and all the other things mentioned above in it. Again, you're not housing or dealing with any of the hardware on site.
Go back real quick, Matt. Two things I want to touch on. So mobile app, again,
Yep,
go back a little bit.
it's okay. Just keep going. Yep.
Yeah, mobile app. I mean, the key thing again with all of the collaboration tools embedded into their client, the mobile app when you move to one of these providers is fully functional. So all of those items, the collaboration, video, the SMS, chat, all of that's housed on your mobile app as well. So if you have somebody that's not bound to a laptop or to a desktop, they can leverage their mobile device and it's fully operational in that regard. I think minimal hardware for on-site. So again, on the premise world, from a Mitel perspective, you're used to having switches at remote sites, connect back to your headquarters server. That's not required when you move to the cloud, right? So you get to do away with all of that infrastructure. Lastly, go back one more that's not on there that I think is really integral. It's really the applications that are available through all of these providers that are embedded into their solution, right? So they've already done development for applications that could be no code or low code that allows you to do integrations to CRM, ERP, cloud database solutions, HR solutions, also from a business productivity perspective. So all of that collaboration, whether it's AI, whether it's whiteboarding, planning, scheduler, all of those things are embedded into an app store essentially for all of the providers, right? So that's development that you don't see or applications that you don't see in the traditional PBX space.
Matt,
Hey guys,
Matt,
not
Wendy
yet,
would like to
Rachel.
know.
Not yet, not yet, Rachel.
Okay.
I'm mad. Only 38% of people have replied to your poll. We're not going to give the results. I want to get that above 50. Come on, guys. We need some help here.
We do have a question though about do you know if the cloud security currently meets the Securities and Exchange Commission's current cybersecurity regulations for cloud?
Uh, I mean, what I would say, I don't know if it's that per se, that exact thing you're asking about. I've had unbelievably the most crazy technical talks with Zoom and Ring and all the top teams, top players with all the right security people, and I've never not done a deal because of security concerns.
Yeah.
So let us get the right people online, and we can have that conversation. And I'll get that answered more precisely after this.
Yeah, I mean, and we have experience with not only, financial institutions, but wealth management institutions on migrating them to cloud. So I think the security is there from a cloud platform perspective, just bringing in the right people to talk about it.
All right. So prem versus cloud, right? This probably is reviewed to a lot of you guys, but got a lot of hardware cost. It's very hard to do remote sites, hard to scale. You got to deal with ports, you got to deal with carriers, you got to deal with all these different circuits, PRIs, 1MB, COTs, SIP trunks across the planet. You have to have more servers to manage, more different systems trying to connect them. A lot of my bigger players have 20 plus servers they're managing just for the telephony system. There's not a lot of innovation happening on-prem. It's all happening in the cloud. It's a very single point solution, so you're just dealing with dial tone. I just talked about this when I beat this one up, development ceasing. And then really big is this E911, Kerry's Law, Ray Baum's Act. It is very difficult to do this in large campus environments. We do it, we have products for it, but the cloud providers make it super, super duper easy. And I think you can get the concept over here on the right, but there is no limited hardware. We'll get to that in a little bit. DR, HA, high availability. You can create users in a second. You can share your internet connections. The network is caught up, so you don't have to have dedicated connections for telco anymore. You're basically future-proofing your business. Kevin, do you want to add anything there?
No, you're good. I think it's good.
We're still at 38%. Okay. No one, my plead for help didn't go anywhere. But what do we get here? 47% biggest driver would be flexibility for remote hybrid work. That's a surprise to me. I like that. I thought cost savings would be number one. That's number three. Improved reliability and uptime, access to advanced features. Well, actually, I take that back. Vendor end of life for on-prem system was number one. So awesome, guys. Thank you for sharing that. We need a little more participation.
Maybe the last thing here, Matt, that's not really called out. Again, many of you know the support world in the premise world is a lot based on that physical hardware, right? So you've dealt with physical switches, losing connectivity, everything under the sun. Fan switches going bad or fans going bad on switches, hard drives on devices, whatever it might be. All of that goes away when you move to the cloud, right? So those pain points from a support perspective is a lot different, right? And it's a significant benefit to you.
And don't get me wrong, there are
Pain points.
new support requirements. So the
Yeah,
support doesn't go away. And the trickiness and the craziness that cloud brings to it,
right,
it's just a different set of nuances that are not as physical, right?
right,
They're more
correct.
logical, and people remotely and queue and smart people that you form relationships, we fix the problems rather than rolling trucks and having to replace cards and punch down in the kind of the old way. But support is still something that needs to be part of this.
It evolves. Spot on.
Excuse me, it evolves. Beautiful. These are true words and sayings as to why people don't want to or push us off or want to keep their premise system go. I don't have time to do the change. Okay, I get it. But what's the cost of not doing it? There's no staff to do the change. Agree with that? It's too disruptive. It's too expensive. It just works. It's the end of the year, it's the end of the quarter, and I've got several projects taking priority. So these are great excuses. But what's the cost of not changing? You're spending way more money than you should for dial tone, really. I mean, for no innovation, right? What we're doing with these new collaboration tools is just like game changing for your organization. So it's no longer just about legal dial tone. It's about legal dial tone along with all these collaboration tools that just get layered on top of it. Wasted efficiencies. You now have people still managing old archaic stuff as opposed to managing business processes and net new revenue generating ideas. Security vulnerabilities. What happens if you go down? What happens if you are exploited? What happens if malware does get into your system? No fun. You're losing your edge. You're losing your competitive advantage. What are your competitors using? You definitely don't have AI. AI is here. Zoom, Teams, Ring, Dialpad, 8x8. Everybody has some really cool AI that you don't get to take advantage of with your Mitel Connect system. And when I say that, I have to say that loosely because there are ways we can layer on third-party products on your existing system that you can take advantage of AI. It's just not as integrated and as clean. It's a little more expensive. Talked about this earlier. Employee satisfaction. The number one employee satisfaction influencer is having good technology.
Really, the last three, Matt. So no digital transformation, leveraging, talking about AI, employee satisfaction. What people don't realize is the cost. When people are talking about the cost of moving to UCaaS, generally, one of the big savings you talk about is telco, right? You're going to migrate your away from your legacy voice circuits, right? As you migrate into that provider's carrier side. But one of the things that comes into play is all of the peripheral applications that benefit your employees, right? So several of you, I'm sure, use Slack as a communication tool. So now you move into a platform that has a more robust chat channel and so forth, right? So you can look at other applications that is in your tech stack that allows you to do cost reduction there, right? So those are things that come into play as you look at the applications and the true feature functionality of those solutions.
So now we're going to get into some nitty gritty of changing, moving from prem to cloud, and some of the, I don't want to say basics, but some of the things that you take for granted that the carriers don't do or don't want to do, and they look for guys like us to do. I'm taking analog, right? Yeah. So analog, I see 10 cities, I see 3 colleges, I see a water district, I see a K through 12. I mean, all these customer of ours, unfortunately or fortunately, still have analog issues. And one of them is faxing. Well, we can take an existing hard fax, which it's hard to believe they still have them out there, but our cities still do, and put them to an analog IP gateway called an analog terminal adapter. And I convert analog to IP on your network and out. Some nuances with that. Heavy fax users, let's get you to a third-party service, those kind of things. A lot of the players, the Rings, the Zoom, have integrated at no charge faxing services. So your DID twins is a fax number. The Teams type things have third parties that work as well, just at a cost. We'll get to that later. So we have ways of having fax solutions. We have 2 or 3 of our cities have fax servers because they do fax blasting and those kind of things. We can connect those to SIP trunks to the players. People have door phones, emergency blue phones. We would connect those through ATAs, or we can convert them to SIP and put them through the system, ring down circuits. As well, the biggest one that's hitting a lot of people right now is elevator lines in public safety that they don't want through any kind of a PBX or a carrier, and you have them on some form of POTS, plain old telephone services, 1 MBs. Well, the TDMA network, and again, if I'm speaking in tongue, please let me know. It's the old school carrier network, TDMA non-IP network, the PRIs, the 1 MBs, those kind of things, the old network. It's going away, it's being turned off. They're charging now hundreds of dollars for POTS lines, for regular, complete, plain old telephone service. Well, we're taking those, and we have 3 or 4 services from Granite, from Mitel, from UMA, that we can take the analog connected into a gateway, and then that gateway has a SIM card going out to, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and now I've converted the analog to IP over the LTE 5G network.
Yeah.
Selling a ton of these.
Yeah, and this is where the question, so the question from before about a PA requirement from a PA integration, this is where that would fall into play, right? So one of the things, again, where we help from a partner perspective is helping you identify the integration that we need to address, and being able to help implement that integration to ensure its functionality, right? Whether it's just going down the list, whether it's legacy faxing, whether it's door phones, intercoms, ring down, which,
Well, I think the PA is actually going to be addressed in the next one. You're going to take session border controller, right?
oh yeah. So
I'll get to
session
that.
controller again.
Session,
I
SBC.
think then again, I think when it comes to understanding how you're going to migrate, leveraging methodology, what's best practices to migrate into a UCaaS solution, session border controllers offer a lot of flexibility, right? So again, first and foremost, depending upon where you're at from a telco perspective, contract-wise, you can bring your own carrier into that world as you're looking to expire that telco contract and gain cost savings back, right? So that's first and foremost.
And there's some disaster recovery, business continuities that you can enjoy by doing BYOC. So if that's the ultimate goal, is
Right.
this DR strategy, BYOC adds some value there too. Yep, keep going.
And then there's a new term, BYOP, or bring your own PBX, right? So again, many of you in the city space, higher education, or school district, having a phased migration, having a coordinated dial plan between your legacy PBX and your new cloud solution allows for as minimal disruption as possible for that migration. So that's where you would bring in an SBC to do a BYOP. Additionally, depending upon the provider, they leverage that SBC for disaster recovery or failover. So in case there is an outage of some sort, you can either have that configured to have analog lines connectivity to it, so you do have some type of failover to analog service, and or it can be used to have an internal, essentially an enhanced intercom around your environment.
Some of our cities, most notably our healthcare, is really taking advantage of this. And so we put this in for the Zoom and Ring, but the Zoom, and it's a big, so if the healthcare, if the internet goes down, or if the carrier goes down, the provider, they have a big intercom system.
Yes.
We've also connected its own internet circuit to it and some SIP trunks on it. And we've also connected in this, a LTE gateway that goes out to the Verizon network. So we can layer on different redundancies above and beyond what's going on your WAN, LAN, SD-WAN, SASE type things, and your campus environment failover to have this disaster recovery failover.
Yeah. And then there's this last one that says integration normalization. What we're really speaking to there is we can leverage that SBC depending upon what third-party application we are trying to integrate with. There's some integration. We can manipulate headers. We can leverage that SBC to do an integration and ensure that that functions properly.
Which of course never happens in the cloud because it just works, Kevin.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So this was an interesting one for a very large 3,000 line campus environment. We had some caller IDs issues going to their mass notification system. We had the SBC there. We did some fancy work, made it all work. Not the right solution, got it fixed at the carrier and the provider level. This was an interim solution that we were able to flip up real quickly. So it's nice to have the SBC there.
100%. Yep.
This was me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so mass notification IP speakers, this is kind of this PA system, right? So we have these paging adapters, Algo, Valcom, and others, where I can take a page, convert it to multicast, send it across your network, hit 1, 10, 50, 100, 200 phones. All the carriers, providers max out at a certain amount of calls that can be paid, phones that can be paged to for emergencies. And it's generally 50, might be 75, might be 100. But with these paging adapters, we can convert it to multicast and do almost as many as you want. IP speakers, the days of daisy chaining, analog speakers together, it's still out there. We can interface to with these Valcom and Bogan paging adapters, not an issue. Most people are tying in their bells, their clocks, and their speakers with IP. And those are Atlas, Allegan, Bogan, and Cisco OEMs, the Atlas, so we can get the Cisco ones too. So we do a ton of those. So let us help. Mass notification, generally are doing single wire. They bought the product that ShoreTel used to use. They've kind of bought all the ones together so that now they have a product for mass notification with overhead paging, tying together your phones, getting out to Everbridge, getting out to Campus U, all these other products and third-party services. And then the big one is E911. Here's a poll question I think is coming up here. E911 is a beast. It's very difficult with premise-based system because you have a physical port on a cross connect with a cable with RJ45 cross connect to a port and a phone. And then you had a physical and a logical connection. You had to tie the two together. You had to update the PSAP database with the right record locator. And if somebody moved with software, through a code, you had to make sure the new physical tied to the logical. The problem is if somebody moved the cross connect and moved it over there, well, you just blew up the whole system, right? So there's incredible complex things that have to happen with these E911s. There still might be a need for your larger campus organizations to continue on doing what you've done, and we can interface those into the providers. But 95% of the time, these providers, the Rings, the 8x8s, the dot pads, the Zooms, the Teams have already done this work for you so you can comply with Kerry's Law and Ray Baum's Act. There's a lot of work that has to happen because you already did it with the Centrado. We have to port that and move it all over to the system, to the provider of choice, and that's what we do. We help with that.
The providers, all of the providers support what's considered a nomadic 911. So at a base level, they have the ability to be able to identify geolocation and stuff like that. So Matt said, a high percentage of the solutions that requirement-wise are met by the providers themselves. For those that need a higher level or something significantly more, that's where we can integrate in.
I feel like I'm losing people. We've only gotten
Yeah.
30 or 40%. Good. Keep
Yeah,
them coming, guys.
About 60% of the people who have answered have said they
Nice.
do have 911. Matt, we are at 42
Yeah.
after
We got to
the
speed
hour.
it up. I
So,
got you.
real quick, so the last one is IP phones. So again, we talked about there's still a requirement to have physical phones in many environments, right? Most of these providers want to be software development companies. They don't want to be in an equipment provider business, right? So they're looking for us as partners to help solution that and help you provide that. So we do support a whole host of approved phones that can migrate into your environment. So assist with procurement, assist with implementation, warranty repair, or RMA. More importantly, for those that have a significant investment into existing Mitel and you're looking to migrate that into that existing environment, we support that as well, dependent upon that provider. Okay.
All right, so now we're going to get into some real migrations that we've done. I'm doing Blue Diamond, been a customer of ours for 3 or 4 years now. Our original intent was to move their old Avaya to a new UCaaS solution. But before we did that, we explained our other services that we did. They were very excited to do some mobile integration with us, some technology expense management with us. We did some bandwidth sourcing for them. We found an MDR provider for them and a reputation management provider for them. All those happen, which are kind of outside of our core original premise of Packet Fusion. All those happened before we moved them to Teams with Momentum Telecom. And that was a whole process of demos and TCOs and needs analysis and database reviews and interviews with all of their stakes to make this a reality. All this has been implemented. They love everything we're doing, and we're getting more and more differing technologies above and beyond the UCaaS.
Contra Costa Community College, so multi-campus higher education solution. Legacy premise, so legacy Mitel solution, again, high telco cost, PRIs, T1s at multiple locations. That was the challenge of migrating them off, doing it effectively and efficiently with minimal disruption. Really our role, Packet Fusion did, this is where we came in with our professional services offering. We assisted with project management, on-site deployment. We supported the staff training and expertise transfer. This is where we came in with a kind of a phased approach, and it really used the SBC solution to its fullest. They had contractual terms around their carriers, so they started with a BYOC. In addition, we did with the phased migration, we did a coordinated dial plan through the 9-month transition, and then we ported at the very end. What Matt was talking about with that integration normalization, this is where we leveraged that SBC to do header manipulation in conjunction with Informacast to be able to provide caller ID for mass notification and 911. Okay. So
SEIU, the largest union in California, again, longtime ShoreTel, Mitel customer of ours. Our premise originally was to get them off their premise system into a cloud system. But prior to that, we worked with them to move 14 of their locations to TPX for SD-WAN, to manage Fortinet firewalls and Meraki, and provided Meraki APs to all 14 sites managed, all from TPX. After that was all completed, we then went back and provided Zoom with a 5.9 solution for them. And again, did amazing amount of work with these guys pre and post. We still support them. We do our Cloud Pro, which we're going to get to in a second. But again, if you guys want to chat with any of these customers, feel free to let us know. If you want to hear more about them, we would love to talk more about them. Our mission statement: we help our clients make the most informed technology decisions. Pretty fun. Projects don't always go as they're planned. Here's some hiccups. And by getting Packet Fusion involved, we're saying we're going to alleviate these pain points from you. I would suggest you're going to get this, but take a snippet of this. If you're going to go try to do this on your own, make sure you address all these. This is not a technology project. It is, but if you think the IT team's just going to go install this and run away with it and just install it, it's not, right? We have a lot of people process integration that we have to do. We have to go interview people. We have to go make sure this is going to be a true transformation for you. You have to have executive buy-in in this. If you don't have executive buy-in in this, no one's going to go to the training. No one's going to use it. No one's going to want to be part of this. You have to tell them why you're doing this from the executive down. Ignoring change management and training, just assuming everybody's going to turn it on and play with it. That's a misnomer. Vendor and customer misalignment, miscommunication. This is where we come in as our project management. We have to make sure whatever you're expecting is delivered. Weak communication strategies. That's where our project management comes in. This is one of the biggest things. These false expectations or unrealized expectations. Thinking the cutover like, we're done. No. That's where it begins. We have to optimize. We have to train. We have to make sure everybody's using the tools. Blowing the budget. You thought you were spending this, but it went way over because you have these unforeseen things. We'll get into that in a second. Lack of documentation. Sure, it's all cloud, but providing some kind of documentation to you is paramount. The human elements of mistakes. Just the biggest issues is just simple, fat fingering, somebody doing a change, not knowing what they're doing. These things are integral, and this would impact success. And this is the biggest one. It's just do something, right? Don't get stuck in paralysis by analysis. You got to get somewhere and let us help. Kevin, you want to take this one?
Yeah, yes, sir. So the Venn diagram, if any of you seen this, so I'm calling this the 3 Ps of digital transformation. Really, for us, it epitomizes the importance of people, process, and product working together to ensure a successful migration. Right. So Matt just talked about kind of the pitfalls and where impacts can occur to cause migrations to be unsuccessful or challenged. So the idea here is, do you have the right people in place to help you with that cloud migration? So again, from a Packet Fusion standpoint, not only helping you in the front end from a solutioning perspective, identifying the correct solution, the correct platform, and then helping you identify how you want to do that migration is key. Process-wise, do you have the processes in place to be able to make that migration successful, right? So again, part of our methodology, what we've learned time and time again over the hundreds, thousands of migrations that we've done or implementations that we've done, we implement here. So we use our best practices to ensure you have the most non-disruptive migration as possible. And then product or the platform, right? So we use that synonymously. Helping you identify the right solution that's going to meet your needs, right? So we are agnostic. We're looking for what solution meets your requirements. And if you don't have all 3 of those together, you will not make a successful migration to the cloud. So it's kind of like a 3-legged stool. You have to have all 3 playing together nicely to make that migration to the cloud.
All right. Confident internal resources, 69% somewhat confident, 19 unsure, and 13 is non-confident. No one, thank you for this, by the way, was very confident. Awesome. Great poll, Rachel. So again, we kind of mentioned some stuff on that slide with all the physical things that the providers don't do or don't want to do, and that's where we add tremendous value. There's some duplication here, but here are things that we add and we do that the providers don't want to do. LAN WAN assessment, single sign-on, phone placement, project management. Who's going to remove the old equipment? Your reports. How do you want your reports to look like? Telco porting a system, complying with audits, end user training, database gathering. So I'm not reading them all, but a lot of stuff that we do, providers don't want to do. They're actually getting rid of all of their implementation services. We just hired 2 people from Zoom that were recently laid off because they got rid of their implementation department. So we've got 2 project managers. We're hiring more engineers from the carriers. So these providers are looking for us as the value-added reseller, the value-added partner, the trusted advisor, the reseller, whatever you want to coin us. They're looking for us to do more in this whole ecosystem, and we're digging in and embracing it.
I think the idea is we really become an extension of your team, your internal team doing this, right? So it's not as simple as just adding users to that platform, right? So embedded in there is this database and call flow. The environments that you all live in now, the current Mitel environments that you have, I would say one of the maybe a good poll question is how clean do you think that environment is? Have you been going through removing dated users, call flow? Have you adjusted schedules? Have you removed things that are not used? See, what we see time and time again is that when we go in and we're helping gather that information, there's a lot of dated information. So part of what we do is do that, help you identify that, help you optimize that going into the new world. That's time savings for your team, right? It's really us being that extension of your group.
This is you, Kev.
And then again, assisting with there's a multitude of different ways that you can migrate into cloud solutions. And depending upon which way you go, there's pitfalls associated to each. There's also benefits associated to each. So part of what we do is based on our knowledge, history, and what we know, is helping you identify what is the best path for you to migrate to the cloud. So you have to take into consideration carrier understanding. So if you're porting or you want to port at the time of go live, there's constraints depending upon what carrier you're with, and how we do that. So you could do a flash cut where we go live all users in one shot, and we can port at the same time. Generally ideal for a smaller environment, right? And if you're talking about one carrier per se, right? Or if you have multiple carriers, we can issue a port in one shot. Phased cutover, again, for cities, school districts, community college districts. This is maybe the ideal part. There's a lot of manpower to deal with all of the peripheral items associated to your environments. So phased cutover might be the most appropriate approach, but considerations have to come into play. If you have multiple carriers in play, do those carriers allow for port stacking, or do you have to port and wait for that porting order to go through? So that dictates how we're going to move forward with your migration.
Or even the case that you have ports that are out of sequence and different ports inside different ranges of numbers, and some of the carriers deny it because they only port the whole range.
Correct.
So some difficulties there. Yep.
Yep. And then you have the thing at the end, call forwarding plus DID, so that it's during the transitional message. That's really more associated to the phased cutover approach. So if we're looking at doing a phased migration with you, is how we embed that into your solution to minimize disruption. So that's where a coordinated dial plan comes into play between your legacy solution and your new cloud environment. So that minimizes any disruption to the end user, keeping it simple for them. Right?
The more variables I can take out of the equation, the better. So if I can not have to do 27 different ports, and I can call for the number to a new temporary DID from your PBX over SIP trunks to the carrier, and then once everybody's cut over on the new system, and then I do one port of all the numbers, then the end user has no idea. Just they stop ringing on the short tail and they start ringing on the carrier. And so it's been a very there are some nuances. So I don't want to say this is for everybody. There are some nuances, but if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah.
So I just want to say we have about 5 minutes left here. So we will stay and answer questions after the time allotted. And I just thought I'd let that guys
Yeah,
know.
thank you.
Sure. So I'm going to kind of breeze through this one really quick. So Packet Fusion, again, earlier this year, we launched what was called Cloud Connect. So this is our offering from a cloud perspective that embeds two main components of it that we'll get into in a second. The intent was to offer a seamless implementation solution to customers. We allow for ongoing optimization. So Matt touched on it a second ago. It's not just you go live and now you're on that solution. The idea is you need to make sure that that solution's meeting your customers or your end users' needs, right? And being able to optimize that and ensure people adopt all of the aspects of that platform, right? Reliable support. Again, you have a normal approach to support leveraging Packet Fusion or an entity like us, right? So you're used to more of a what I would consider a white glove approach from a support perspective. So now when you migrate to cloud, you get a different experience, right? So I would call it what I would call the Microsoft experience if you've called into Microsoft for support, right? So we still offer cloud support. We're giving you tier 1, tier 2 support right from the get-go. Things that what we've heard from our customer base that they're needing and leveraging. Flexible deployment options. So we talked about different ways of migrating into that new solution. Something we talked to you about, what's going to be best suiting your needs. Again, future ready. So making sure we stay ahead of the curve. This is where that optimization comes into play, being proactive and evolving that solution for you. And more importantly, the intent is we're here to be your strategic partner long term. So the two offerings, Cloud Pro, again, it's pretty simple. That's professional services, really the implementation side of our offering. We have two flavors, full implementation that's specific to Zoom and RingCentral. So we're here to do that full implementation for you, whether it's the UC component or the contact center add-on as well, right? We're here to do everything from project management, database call flow design, the analog or the peripheral device implementation on site, deployment, go live, and support there. We also offer advocacy. So for the providers that we leverage their services to do the professional services, we tack on our support again to still give you that peripheral benefit of helping you with the database design, call flow, being able to extract that information out of your existing environment, help you facilitate it over, be an extension of your team in conjunction with that provider. Most importantly, with Cloud Care, again, this offering was really developed from what we heard from our customers that have migrated to any of those platforms. They were really looking for our support to continue. It's a different feel when you call into one of those providers. So we've offered Cloud Care to our Ring and Zoom customers. Here we offer, and this is where that support world changes and evolves coming out of Mitel into one of the provider solutions. But we offer moves, adds, and changes during business hours as part of that offering. After hour support, so many of you are used to using our callback or on-call option if there is an issue. That is extended into our cloud offering. First 30 minutes of that support is free because it's typically a move, add, or change that comes with that. Advanced tasks. So if you're adding users, you need to adjust call flow, modify, you want to add a site. We have discounted rates for those types of scoped projects. We extend our SLAs into the cloud support offering now. So this is something that beats any of the providers. We have a 4-hour turnaround on our standard cases. If you have a critical issue, we have a 30-minute response time for anything critical. And then we continue to offer our portal access so you can track tickets, update, add new tickets, see your ticket history through our customer portal.
So we've gone, as I mentioned, the providers are asking us to do more. We're platinum with Zoom and we're diamond, which is the highest designation for each of them. We've done certifications with both providers to this day to sell, service, and support all of their products. And we're making a big push into this. So this coupled with our Cloud Connect, we feel we're very positioned for success for getting you guys to the provider of choice.
So it is top of the hour. I just want to tell everyone who has to drop that we will send out the rest of the recording to them.
Two more slides after this, so we'll be done quickly. And please answer the poll. I'd love you guys. It'd mean a lot to us. So we have government contract vehicles. I think you all know what that is. If you go out to RFP, you don't need those. We love RFPs. We answer them all the time. If you want to sole source this, these providers have competitively bid sourced contracts, so you can buy this without buy all the stuff we talked about without going to RFP. TCO, our whole goal here is to get you to connect with us and allow us to do a needs analysis and do a TCO, total cost of ownership, return on investment, on what it looks like to get to the cloud with the various providers that we've provided for you. This is a very crude, simple one that we did and how it looks and the things that we're doing, the kind of work that we do for some of our bigger, more complex offerings. This was one we did for somebody that wanted to go to Teams. We love Teams. Teams works great. Sometimes there are some unforeseen costs that go along with it. When you start adding in faxing, you start adding analytics, you start adding in call center, you start adding in all these various products, the very, I already have the E5 license, it's just included. Well, no, you got to buy the calling plan, you got to buy the faxing, you got to buy the analytics, you got to buy the reporting, you got to buy the contact center, you got to buy all these things. And then what you thought was a super cheap price becomes double or triple what a Ring Central implementation would have been, because all these things are included in yellow that are generally charged from other players. So we did one with a guy where they thought they were going to go with Teams. They still love it, and we still love it, but it was 3 times the cost. They're like, wait a minute, we have to do this. So our goal is to get you to allow us to do something like this, along with the needs analysis, and then all the post stuff that happens. So with that, if you have any questions and answers, we'd love to answer them now.
So I do have a couple of questions that people asked that I thought we could get to at the end. So what happens to their phone numbers themselves? Do they get to keep their DIDs as they go over to another system?
Absolutely. Kev, I mean, we just,
Yes, we part of what we would do. So the answer is yes, you can migrate whatever you would like into the new environment. Part of what you would want to do is an assessment of those numbers, right? Because kind of a nuance that's different going into the cloud. In more of the legacy world, you might have numbers in reserve, like DID blocks in reserve. You wouldn't want to do that moving into cloud. So we look at what you need, and that's part of what the porting process is into migrating into cloud.
So the short answer is you keep them,
Yes.
you port them. If you have numbers in reserve, most providers are going to charge you $1 a month per number. So if you have a ton of them, it gets expensive.
Right.
So this isn't a question, it was more of a statement I got. I like my desk phone. So
Keep it.
I think that's the that's the question there. So with most desk phones can stay?
Well, in worst case scenario, you can buy a new desk phone that will work. Poly audio codes, those kind of Yay link. The Mitel phone, depending on the model you have, will work with various carriers. Will work.
But the answer is a desk phone stays. You can put it in your environment and potentially get even a more enhanced desk phone that might be nicer for you.
So I think this goes up nicely with that one. What features will they lose if they switch from their current carrier? Like what will they no longer have access to?
So
This is a fun one because you have to be careful, because short term was so cool and we did so many really, really, really neat things, and we got what's not right. Burn's not the right word. It was exposed with some of our cities that are very unique in some of their call processing capabilities, and have found the flexibility of ShoreTel to do some amazing things. And then we go try to recreate it in one of these providers. It's like, it's just not going to work exactly like that. And
So
we
what I
find
would
a
call
new
it-
way to do it, but it's sometimes you got to just have an open mind and think we got to reassess how we do this call flow, because no one's going to do it in the cloud. Kev, do you
So
want to add to that?
yeah, I'll add to this. So what you'll hear from the implementation team, whether it's a project manager, engineer, is we do like for similar, right? So we obviously have a wealth of knowledge on the ShoreTel Mitel product. We understand that there's a lot of different nuances on how we can program, how we got things done in that environment. Some were technically supported, some might not have been supported, right? But what we do is we look at how we're going to migrate that feature functionality and give you the same experience, but more importantly, try to improve it moving into the new environment. That's the key thing, is the new platforms have other ways of doing things. Again, not like for similar, and in many cases, like for better, right? So that's what we'll do during that initial call flow discovery, and ensuring that we bring and address that solution needs as much as possible.
So we did just have someone ask if we're going to send the recording out. I'm assuming it's because they have to go. Yes, we will. We'll send the recording out, and I'll even make the slides accessible as well. And this is going to be the last question, I think, and it's my favorite question because I didn't know the answer to it yesterday when I asked it. What happens when the internet goes down, though? So you're in the cloud and the internet goes down.
Great question. Well, fundamentally, your mobile client still works, right? So if you are using the mobile client from Ring, Teams, Zoom, Dialpad, 8x8, your cellular phone app still works. But your internal communications within the WAN goes down, right? And so you have no communications. That's where we'll have this SBC with their failover. Different carriers call it different things, where you can have an intercom system. We can connect different third-party systems to it.
Yeah.
different
So-
third-party connectivities to it.
Yeah. So what I think ultimately the key thing from our engagement perspective is when we're talking about the solution and doing discovery up front at the very beginning, understanding your requirements, our team will look at what you need from a network perspective, right? So part of that discussion would be SD-WAN, and understanding if that's a requirement or if that's a need in your environment. That would be one. There's cellular backup. There's all sorts of different types of um, failover or redundancy solutions that can be put into play that's not just embedded into that application, right? So there, again, Matt touched on, and we talked about earlier, depending upon the provider, they do have solutions that we can leverage SBC to either create an internal intercom, to add connectivity external. But what we want to do is partner with you to understand, is there a greater solution outside of that that would bring redundancy in place?
So,
Between
follow-up question, I have a quick
between
follow-up question on
let
that.
me go. Let me go for
Anthony.
30 seconds. Between BYOC, bring your own carrier, and between SD-WAN and SASE, and between backup carriers and the carrier's failover products, we can make this thing as hardened and as disaster recovery and resilient as you want.
Correct.
Go ahead, Rachel.
So Anthony asked if WAN he understands would be down, but would we still have LAN extension to extension calling?
Yes.
Yes.
You could, if you do one of the ZPLS or the one from.
So each of the providers have a unique solution that you would need to make sure we put into play. So if you have multi-site, if you're in a campus city type of an environment, what we would need to assess is what's the end solution provider wise, and then each of them have a solution within that that would allow for essentially that solution to become an enhanced intercom.
With connectivity, if you so choose.
Correct.
Well, I think that we have come to the end of the questions, and keeping 10 minutes after class, we should wrap it up. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Kevin, for coming in and giving us this conversation. There is a survey after this. Please make sure that you fill it out so we understand what you would like to see from us next. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, do I end the recording?
Mhm.